That's another important point, is like, you can't predict it. It's like the Steve Jobs thing of, you know, he had that quote. He dropped out of college at Reed College is the story. And when he dropped out, he was free to take whatever classes he want. And so he went and took a calligraphy class, of all things, you know, like nice writing.
Yeah.
And that's ridiculous. Like, there's no possible use for a calligraphy class in like any legitimate, you know, like business case.
Yeah.
And then 10 years later or something, he's building the first Mac computer. And it was the first computer that had beautiful fonts, because he took the lessons that he learned from this calligraphy class and applied it into the typefaces as they were building it. And if he hadn't taken that calligraphy class, no computer ever would have had beautiful fonts, because then everyone copied the Mac computer and the beautiful typefaces that they had. And what he says is, like, you cannot possibly connect that dot looking forward. When he took the calligraphy class, he never would have known ever that that was going to be a thing. But in reverse, when you look back, you can connect those dots and they're very clear in your mind. And so he says that, like, have faith that the dots in your future will somehow connect. You just have to have faith. And I think about that a lot with relationships. It's like, the most impactful relationships in my life started with the most innocuous moment and connection. And like, I never would have known that this relationship would have been important. I've talked about it on different things, but like, Tim Cook has been an amazing mentor and friend to me in my life. When I first met him, it was at the gym at 5 a.m. at Equinox in Palo Alto. And he just happened to be one of like 6 people that was crazy enough to show up every morning at 4:45 in the morning. And I did that for 6 months, not knowing who he was. He didn't wear glasses or anything. Like, you know, he wasn't dressed up. I wasn't in tech, so I didn't really know like CEOs of these companies. But I was showing up every single morning, and I was friendly with the people that were around because we were all there. It was like we were in the trenches together doing this thing. And I never would have thought that that would have been someone that would have then become a big part of my life and influence how I thought about the world, influence my decision to then go all in on this thing I'm doing, been a supporter of that. And it was just that innocuous moment. Like, I could never have connected that dot from showing up at the gym super early, because that was how I was wired. I was disciplined. I wanted to show up early in the morning. I never could have connected that dot to starting a relationship that would have impacted my life in the way it has. And yet it did. So you have to have faith that those dots will somehow connect in your past.
I think that's such a key word, is just faith. Like, and where my mind goes with it, it's like, if you do good things will happen. It's like you have to, and it goes to the point of like the power of momentum, of just keep going at it. I'm curious, you mentioned Tim Cook, and I've heard on other podcasts and just from following you, also meeting like Warren Buffett and Bill Gates. I'm sure you've met like a bunch of people at this point who are like almost like mind-blowing, like just incredible people to meet. I'm curious, do you have someone in your mind that like, and maybe it's not even someone on that level, but you just met them and like their energy, it could be their energy, their demeanor, just the way that they are, it just really stood out to you. Like, it was just super impressive. And in general, like, what kind of does, I think you almost alluded to it with the way that you described Blake, like being a good like father, being a good person. But when you meet someone, what impresses you? Like, what stands out to you?
It's a great question. Curiosity for me is the number one thing. I mean, I think about everyone that I'm most impressed by, people I've met or not met, you know, people that I've admired, from like historical figures on through current business people. Curiosity is what I am most blown away by. I'm rereading right now the Leonardo da Vinci biography by Walter Isaacson. He's one of my favorite writers, biographers. And in the very beginning of that, he talks about how in one of Leonardo da Vinci's journals, it literally says, like written, transcribed, it says, describe the woodpecker's tongue. It just says that on one of his pages as like one of his to-dos for a day.
Yeah.
And he comments on the absurdity of anyone possibly needing to know anything about a woodpecker's tongue. Like, why did Leonardo da Vinci sit around one day thinking about what a woodpecker's tongue was like? Well, it's because that's who he was. He had an insatiable curiosity about the world around him.
Mm.
And that, more than anything else, is what enables you to be successful, because you are just prone to be interested about the world around you, to go down those rabbit holes, to observe a freaking woodpecker's tongue to learn something. But that same curiosity is what leads you to want to understand things about the human body, that lead to incredible anatomical discoveries, that lead to painting the Mona Lisa, because you understand eye structure and the smile and the face in a way that is so much deeper and more elegant than anyone else has ever known.
Mm.
That curiosity is what stands out to me. And that's like what you see a smile on my face. I'm like, I read that at the beginning of that book, and it hit me different the second time I read it. And I was just like, man, what a cool thing.
Yeah.
That there have been people throughout history that have that. When you find that common thread, like you see it in Steve Jobs, you see it in Benjamin Franklin. You see it, like, I mean, these are all Walter Isaacson biographies now that I'm thinking about it, but you see it as a common thread in society. And that's what I want to be. Like, I write the Curiosity Chronicle as my newsletter. That's the reason I care so deeply about curiosity. And when I think about my own life now and what I get to do on a weekly basis, it's literally that I get to explore my curiosity and share what I'm learning along the way. That's what my bio says. It's what I do every single week. I read stuff, I talk to people, I go on walks and think about things, and I get to explore them. And whether it's like stupid health stuff, like I'm getting in a cold plunge every single morning, or going doing stupid workout things, or if it's talking to cool people like yourself, whatever it is, it's exploring curiosity.